And welcome into a beautiful night here in downtown Tulsa as we get set for USL Championship action with the El Paso Locomotive coming in to take on the Tulsa Roughnecks. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Jeremy Poplin, joined by Dave Saunders as we get set for tonight's match, which features a team, Dave, that's incredibly hot right now in El Paso, and a team in the Tulsa Roughnecks that happens to be going in the other direction after their hot start at the beginning of the season. And we'll keep an eye on this man tonight for El Paso, and since the addition of Mr. Jerome Kiesewetter, they have been absolutely on fire. 4 braces, Dave Saunders.
9 goals, 4 braces, a great striker. Anybody that's played anywhere near the German Bundesliga or the Zweite Bundesliga is going to be a good player, and he really is on fire.
And he has made the difference for them over the last couple of weeks, and there's a little tie there with Jurgen Klinsmann as well. We'll dive into that more on the program coming up tonight. Also, Rodrigo da Costa, which is, well, to say the least, maybe the most important player on the Roughnecks side moving in. What a start to the season that he's had.
He's had a fantastic start. He plays in that number 10 role. He links the midfield. He links the attack. He's got to perform tonight. Rodrigo da Costa is a big, big player for the Roughnecks.
And it is important for him to come up big tonight because, as we mentioned, the Roughnecks, 2 defeats in a row, been outscored 8-2 in those last 2 losses. And Dave, they've now fallen out of playoff position. That tells you how important it is tonight, especially with an El Paso team that's on an 8-game unbeaten streak.
Well, I know it hurt Mike Ensign and the Roughnecks players when they lost 3-2 to Austin Bold. Their first defeat at home. They've got to make One Oak a fortress, and it's a game like this tonight that they really need to win.
And Michael Ensign making some changes that we'll see coming up as well with the starting 11, but you kind of like that. If you feel like you've lost that chip that you started the season with, what a better time than to mix things up with the starting 11.
Brave coaching, and it's got to be done sometimes. Mix things up, and he's bringing a few new faces tonight.
We can't wait to show you that new starting 11 for the Roughnecks when we come back after this timeout live from downtown Tulsa.
My name is Abigail Bailey. I was at my yearly checkup when I was 12, and we went and got x-rays, and she diagnosed me with scoliosis and that we needed surgery as soon as possible.
Tulsa Bone and Joint was very compassionate. They took their time with us. They answered questions. He was very encouraging.
Dr. Clark helped me see that there is life after spinal fusion. Just because your spine is fused doesn't mean that you can't do what you love to do.
I'm Chad Smith with Becco Contractors. As an employer, we're always worried about new employees coming to the job and not being aware of their surroundings and just not knowing what they're really doing because it's a new job site. So the partnership with Tulsa Tech has really helped us take that worry out of the equation. We know that they're fully trained and ready to go by the time they show up on the job.
How was school today?
Mrs. Smith, what are you doing?
Recycling.
You can't put plastic bags in the recycling cart, but you can recycle this milk jug. You can recycle stuff from all over the house.
You can recycle this empty box.
What about these hangers?
Just aluminum and steel cans, paper and cardboard, plastic bottles and jugs,
glass bottles and jars.
To learn more, check out TulsaRecycles.com.
And welcome into downtown Tulsa tonight from One Oak Field as we get set for USL Championship action tonight between the visitors from El Paso, the Locomotive, and the Tulsa Roughnecks. 2 teams have headed in different directions, at least over the past several weeks. Roughnecks looking for that elusive victory for the first time, well, since the month of April, and the Locomotive looking to continue on to a 9-game unbeaten streak. And we'll take a look first at the starting 11 from the El Paso Locomotive. And Dave Saunders keeping an eye right there at the top with number 17.
Number 17, Kiesewetter, played in the German Bundesliga and the Zweite Bundesliga, and anybody who's played in that league must be decent, and he scored 9 goals with 4 braces, so he will be a handful for Malin Roberts and Cyprian Hedrick tonight.
Mr. Salgado has started to come on as of late as well, with now 2 goals on the season. An important piece to the puzzle for the Locomotive, and there for the Roughnecks, Janu Silva, who we've talked about in the past. Very important aspect to this. Also tonight, we'll get an opportunity to continue to highlight Rodrigo da Costa, kind of the engine that makes this Roughnecks offense work. And there's a lot of pressure on them tonight after being outscored 8-2 in the last 2 games. And we mentioned heading in different directions, Roughnecks not having that victory since last April. And Dave, you look now as we enter the dog days of summer, and this one is maybe one of the more important games for the Roughnecks here in 2019 to find a result here tonight after dropping their first ever home match in their last visit here to the Austin Bold.
Yes, it is disappointing. They were 2-0 up in that game to Austin Bold, and then we saw a great comeback from the Bold to win that one 3-2, and that was the first defeat, as you say, at One Oak, which was somewhat of a fortress. So an important game for the Roughnecks tonight, and of course coming off the back of that 5-0 drubbing in the last away game.
Here's Janu Silva to DJ Dean. He's in the starting lineup this evening, the local product from Union High School. Big chance for him tonight to kind of make his presence felt on this Roughnecks side, and an early foul here in the get-go. And John Freeman is our center this evening, who has reffed several matches here at One Oak Field in the past. We feel like has been one of the better referees that we've seen roll through here. Shane Kennard along with Seth Barton and Michael Kapp, your 4th tonight between the 2 benches. Here's a lovely ball that's played down the wing. Several opportunities now. Curling cross in, settled near the 18-yard box, and finally cleared away there by the back line of the Roughnecks. Coming over to challenge quickly was Matt Rogers, and he had to make that decision in quite a hurry.
He did, and Andrew Fox was in a lot of space down that right-hand side. Big night, we should say, for Matt Rogers. He's in at right back. Luca Lobo dropping to the bench tonight, so big night for him.
Also, Sean Lewis back in the net for the Roughnecks tonight as well, after that injury on March 23rd, the hamstring injury. Not too far into the season, and his first appearance back after rehabbing from that injury. It's great to see him off of the early starts of the season for the Roughnecks that he had. And we'll see how long it takes him to get his feet back underneath him.
Yeah, and he'll want to get his hands on the ball early on.
It's Mr. Salgado, who you will notice not only good with the ball at his feet, but uses that large 6'4" frame incredibly well. You just saw it there, just the way he bends at the waist, Dave, kind of using that extra leverage that he's got. He has come to life as of late.
And he certainly has, and looking forward to watching him play tonight. And I think it's unusual, quite unusual, to have such a tall, 6'4", who's playing predominantly on the wide role. But you'll see him come into the middle and get on the end of some crosses as well, using that height.
Throw in here for Locomotive FC. Good settle there. Tried to meg Mr. Rogers there. Was Conreras. All the way back now to Ketterer, and the Locomotive will reset. Good mixture of not only young players, Dave, but also some crafty veterans for this El Paso side that has quietly put themselves in a position. There are 4 teams that are tied there for second in the West. That's a great ball that's played in on a good run. Also from Salgado, just a bit too tall even for his 6'4" frame. And El Paso now still trying to keep the pressure on, headed away by Malin Roberts. Out to Morado, had that ball taken away from him. Chapa Herrera harassed there by Manny Gonzalez.
Yes, they're a side, as you say, packed with experience and players that have played in Europe. Here's one of them, Toko, who's played in the Eredivisie, which is the Premier Division in the Netherlands. He's also played in England for Barnet, made a couple of appearances for Barnet in North London there. Here he is on the ball now. And I think you make a good point. I think El Paso, one of these teams, fans will probably disagree with me when I say this, but they seem to me to have come just under the radar. They seem to, you know, they've put their season together quietly, gone about their business quietly, and they're a very efficient team, as we know.
Sets up our first Red Crown Credit Union.org corner kick of the evening. Mark Lowry has done an incredible job so far. A little rough going there in the early portion, but have really settled in here into their inaugural season in the USL Championship. Low ball. Gonzalez got there first, out to Morano. Tried to get there, just couldn't in front of Herrera, and Herrera elects to work all the way back to Ketterer. That's one thing that you will see tonight with El Paso, is a team that wants the ball, wants the lion's share of the possession, and has had it for the most part in most of their games. Good passing side, second in the league in total passes coming into tonight, but percentage-wise, the best passing team in the USL. Tulsa near the bottom at 25th.
And judging on the first 6 minutes of this game, you can see why El Paso have got that passing statistic. They knock it around, they work for each other, they're working hard both on and off the ball. And the Roughnecks will need to be at their best as Cyprian Hedrick there fouls Kiesewetter. And I was going to say that Hedrick and Malin Roberts at the heart of the Roughnecks defence, they're just going to have to be at their best tonight. They won't be able to make any slip-ups to a man like Kiesewetter.
And there has to be a little bit as far as redemption on the mind of the back line as well. After that 5-0 win by Phoenix last Friday night there in Arizona. And the one thing about Michael Encian, we talked about this in the pregame, was, Dave, he's not afraid at this point when he feels like that the motivation of this team to have a chip on their shoulder to begin 2019, he felt like that maybe they lost a little bit of that over the past couple of weeks, and that's why he has shuffled the starting 11 here for tonight, just looking for that extra spark. Someone will take advantage of the opportunity, and we'll find out who.
Indeed, and I think it's always a brave coach's decision when you drop players, and you know, players that have played from the start of the season, they're on the bench and they've got to fight their way back in. And if you can get that with the whole of your squad, then it's a good place to be, isn't it?
Kiesewetter offsides. Good there by DJ Dean. Unlucky are the Roughnecks. Salgado. To Mr. Kiffey, who is one of those players that we've seen several different rotations here through One Oak. One of those good, solid resume guys that you need on your team. Lots of experience. Salgado gets there first. One hop in the box. Looking to the far post. Kiesewetter could not get there in enough time, and it will be a goal kick now coming up for the Roughnecks here in the 9th minute. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the finest leagues in the world since 1947. Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Had to be frustrating for Sean Lewis, you know, to sign with Tulsa, have that early injury, and have to miss a significant portion of the season, but shows you the work ethic that Sean has.
Yeah, never easy to come back. Was a hamstring injury. I think he took a goal kick like he's just done there, and claps to the the floor in that 4-0 victory against Tacoma Defiance way, way back, as you said, Pop. And to come back from that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and to even see Mr. McCray come on and help finish off that clean sheet there for the Roughnecks when Sean Lewis went out. So that means that Mason Stidehart, who's on loan from Orlando, goes to the bench. Performed admirably, did Mr. Stidehart. I think Manny wanted to go quickly here. And Rodrigo, I think, had a little chat with him there for a brief moment.
Well, and I don't blame him, because who's had the lion's share of the possession and playing the quick play is El Paso. And I think the Roughnecks just want to take a breather here, just reset and let, you know, see if they can get something out of this free kick and play the ball behind that line of white shirts.
Altamirano couldn't fit it through. Roughnecks have to be careful here. One misplayed ball and El Paso could quickly go on the counter.
And that's something El Paso have done very, very effectively in this game, is they've suffocated the space that the Roughnecks are trying to play in. You can always tell a good team, when they haven't got the possession of the football, they very quickly want it back. And that's what they're doing tonight. Roughnecks have got a little bit of possession here with Cyprian Hedrick. But that ball's too long for DJ Dean.
Push him back a few more yards. Cyprian Hedrick has to get there in a hurry, and he cannot. Salgado running directly at Sean Lewis, and Sean Lewis is up to the challenge. There were two runs through there. Salgado is now jarring back and forth a little bit as Kiesewetter had a few words for him after that, Dave. He was making that run directly through the center of the box. Maybe we'll see here on the replay, but do not let that 6'4" frame from Salgado fool you. He blew by Cyprian Hedrick.
Well, I think what he's upset about is Salgado there just took one touch too many. And if he just pulled it back, I think Kiesewetter would have had a tap in, and that's what he was annoyed about with his teammate.
Here's Kiffey. Curling ball from Kiffey. Rogers doing his best. Nothing much on that attempt. Lewis wants to go. Altamirano was calling for it on an absolute dime. Did he drop it in? Here's Janu Silva. Can he get there in time? No, he cannot. And now Ketterer.
Well, a couple of things to say. I mean, Sean Lewis, that was a pinpoint punt straight to Altamirano's feet. And then I honestly don't think there was too much wrong with what Janu Silva did. There it is. Maybe he just, did he tread on his toe? Maybe he did.
Incidental contact. Nothing much there to it. Obviously, you want to make sure everyone's okay.
Sensible refereeing.
Of course. Right idea on the quick counter. Thought that was extremely well done there by the Roughnecks.
And I think that's the way that they may have to play tonight against this very impressive possession, keep ball El Paso side.
Rodrigo da Costa looking for DJ Dean, slips it through. Good defending there. Make sure that DJ Dean did not find a way to a touch.
Yeah, it was Drew Becky, wasn't it? With a very good challenge, and DJ Dean was nearly in. Good ball through from the Roughnecks.
Mr. Becky has done well, filling in for Meshach Jerome, who's on international duty.
Certainly, Omar Salgado is a handful, isn't he, for Anthony Legendre down this right-hand side, left-hand side of the Roughnecks as we look at the field.
I think he might be a handful for everybody. That was one of the stories in bringing in Kiesewetter was Mark Lowry had originally tried Salgado at the 9 spot and didn't feel like that was where he was best suited. Felt that he was better suited to be a winger. And I think that change, it may have taken him a bit to kind of fit into that role, especially here with El Paso. Even if that's your natural position or you're comfortable, sometimes it takes a little bit more. Brilliant ball played through on as Lewis comes out, big right-handed save, and then the deflection. And Sean Lewis had one big challenge there, and he's up for it to keep the Locomotive off of the board.
Well, that is why Kiesewetter, as we'll see in the replay, is a striker, because it was a beautiful through ball, but that is an outstanding piece of goalkeeping from Sean Lewis, who will now need a little chat with the referee just to check that he's okay. But Kiesewetter is not a wing-back, is he? He is an out-and-out striker, and he's done it well this season. 9 goals, 4 braces, and he was nearly in on goal there. And that's what the Roughnecks will have to watch out for, is him just going in behind that defence and timing those runs.
Corner kick. Well done, Malin Roberts. Knocked down there by Manny Gonzalez, still in play. Here's Contreras. Cuts towards the byline, then pulls it back. Legendre doing his best. Good pressure there from the Roughnecks surrounding. And then Chapa had his pocket picked. It's DJ Dean. Oh, tried the spin move, maybe a little bit too fancy there.
Yeah, you could see what he was trying to do, but just didn't pull it off. But again, it's what the Roughnecks are going to have to do tonight, is to play almost as the away side, because this is an outstanding El Paso Locomotive side who, passing accuracy, numerous passes. Here's a good ball.
Several times tonight from that wing, Dave, we have seen them whip those balls in, the crosses in, and that's one area where they've been pretty dangerous at so far in the season, and you can see exactly why as they get set for another corner now. Red Crown Credit Union corner kick.
Well, you can see with Andrew Fox, the number 19, there on the left-hand side, but then you see Sebastian Contreras, who drifts from the middle out to the wings. They're very, very fluid. Then you throw in, of course, Omar Salgado. Here's Kiffy's corner.
Left-footed ball, headed down.
And that was clever again. That was Andrew Fox again, just pulling away from everybody. And he had a free header, actually, from that corner, from Kiffy's corner. He gets a little high five there from Kiffy as he goes past him, because that was good play. He pulled away and he was able to head it back, and looking for the likes of Jerome Kiesewetter there. But in steps the Roughneck defender, and it's another Red Crown Credit Union corner. Roughnecks under pressure.
Kiffy now setting the ball, hoping to maybe perhaps bring another championship to an expansion side. Was a member of that Sacramento Republic expansion team. Won the championship in their inaugural season. And Toku with the foul from behind.
I think Drew Becky has got to go off and get a little attention here. I think it must be an injury.
Janu Silva there on your screen. What an addition that he has been to the Roughnecks offense so far. Was talking with Michael Insian earlier this week, and I asked him about Janu, and they felt like even before, you know, he kind of broke the ice with those games and where he was scoring, and most of that started away from One Oak Field, Dave Saunders. He told me they felt like Janu was doing everything that they wanted him to do, you know, being able to hold up that ball and help, you know, create more of an attack, holding that ball centrally, coming back and receiving it, and that it was just a matter of time before he finally was able to break through, and so far he has with 5 goals on the season for Janu.
Yeah, I'd agree totally with that. He was doing everything he was asked to, wasn't he? And it was holding up the ball. Here's Altamirano.
Almost. Altamirano kept the run alive. DaCosta couldn't find a seam through the wall of defenders, and then a hack and a foul here in the 20th.
But going back to Gianni Silva, I mean, you can hold the ball up and you can do everything you want, but you're a goal scorer and you want to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's what he's done. 5 goals, as you said, and he would dearly love one tonight for the Roughneck cause. But they're up against it against, I'll say again, one of the better teams we've seen here at One Oak this season.
Well, and most of the attention has been lately on the El Paso attack, but they are in this position, quite frankly, because they are one of the better defensive sides in all of USL. Only 12 goals allowed so far this season.
Yeah, that's impressive. And you can see why with the likes of Drew Becky and Giro and Toko back there. Solid centre-back pairing. James Kiffey, you know, the list goes on. I mean, and possession of the football, of course, means that the other side doesn't have opportunities on goal. So chance for the Roughnecks here, and we know they can be dangerous from free kicks. Rodrigo DaCosta picking himself up to take this one.
Mr. DaCosta has been a workhorse so far, has played all but 12 minutes so far this season for the Roughnecks. No trouble there. Sip was the closest Roughneck to the ball in the box. Then El Paso will begin their work from the back. There's a giveaway. Manny Gonzalez. Manny Gonzalez has a go, and that one continued to rise over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, Manny Gonzalez just stole the ball there and shot from around about 25 yards out. I think it was always going over the goal. Nothing for Logan Ketterer to do that.
Madai. Good look from Madai. Diagonal ball. DJ Dean onto it. Has his hands full there on the outside. Does DJ Dean, the youngster.
But he does win the first corner, doesn't he, for the Roughnecks tonight. So a chance now for the Roughnecks to get on the board. And it's, you know, again, when you're having to give up a lot of the possession, it's things like corners and free kicks that you want to make the most of.
He's out there against Rebellon, former member of the Los Dos. Also, I believe, did he spend a year in OKC as well? I believe he might have. DaCosta had a run towards the near post. They tried to flick from Altamirano. Unlucky. Long diagonal ball, was able to hang up in the air for a few seconds. Roughnecks with the throw in. They're in the 23rd. Welcome in everyone to downtown Tulsa. Jeremy Poplin, Dave Saunders with you. Everyone watching on ESPN Plus. Things have finally started to dry a bit here in Tulsa after the last month of record flooding. And the temperatures have been down for the month of June so far here in Tulsa. Well below normal. No, that has not been the case, especially during the last matchup with El Paso and Los Dos. Heat there in El Paso. One of my favorite cities, by the way, Dave. If you have not been, thoroughly suggest that you take the opportunity.
I have not ventured there yet. Thank you for the tip, my friend. I'll put it on my list. Along with Seattle. as we were talking about earlier on, where they get lots of rain. So I understand. But certainly I would go to El Paso and pay money to watch this team play, because they really do impress me the way they work for each other. They knock the ball around. But so far, the Roughnecks, to be fair, have held firm. Maybe one save one-on-one that Sean Lewis had to make, which he did very well.
Kiffey doing his best. They're on the far touchline. Had it taken away. Malin Roberts looking. Elects back to use Sean Lewis. Long driven ball from Lewis. Trying to find DJ Dean. Could not do so. Strong back line there with Drew Becky. Congratulations, by the way, to the Becky family. I know Drew's sister is a member of the Canadian women's national team. Played in the World Cup.
Yeah, Janine.
She is subbed today?
She was in, she got subbed, but they did win and punched their ticket for the group stage, the last 16, with a 2-0 victory over New Zealand, following up their 1-0 success.
Pretty remarkable to have two members in the family that have continued on their professional career in this sport. Contreras harassed by DJ Dean. Roughnecks come away with it. Gonzalez drops it back to Legrandre. Adai. Little reset here from Tulsa. Hedrick. DaCosta has that ball picked off. Don't mind that foul whatsoever from Rogers, and he's going to pick up a yellow as a result of it. But that had danger written all over it from Tulsa's perspective.
Took one for the team there, didn't he, Matt Rogers? Hasn't had a lot of the ball, but he's seen a lot of players coming towards him. Just going back to DaCosta there, really the playmaker for the Roughnecks, the number 16. He needs to be on the ball with quality, and there he just gave the ball away, and that's something when you're up against it with possession stats that you can't do to El Paso Locomotive. And here they are with a free kick and a chance to get it into the Roughnecks box.
Lots of size up there, hanging out around the 18.
And you won't be surprised when I tell you that the stats from the USL Championship website say it's 70-30 possession in favor of El Paso.
No surprise whatsoever. We'll get into here in a moment first section of this game, and if you think the Roughnecks need to change their approach, the ball gently slid off of Andrew Fox, and now a goal kick coming up for the Roughnecks.
That's twice now Andrew Fox, the number 19, has pulled away to the back post, and certainly a feature of the free kicks coming into the box or the corners. He's a tall young man, and that's obviously what he's trying to do, and head it back across goal.
There's Altamirano, who steps in front of that attempted pass. DaCosta. Rogers maybe a one touch too many, had it taken away from him near the halfway line. Salgado with a run, and Malin Roberts cuts down the angle and sends it out of play.
Omar Salgado is playing predominantly on the right, but we said earlier on in the commentary that he will come through the middle, onto crosses, but that one he just wanted the ball laid in to his feet there. A clever play coming in from the right-hand side through the middle.
'29th minute. Still looking for someone to break the ice. Attempted cross knocked away. Fox thought he had just enough and had created enough space for the attempted cross. Contreras with Ross. Now Janu. Altamirano, dead run now at an angle through the pitch, has help to the outside if he wants it, leaves it there for DJ Dean. DJ, top of the 18, tries to set himself up. Pulls back, has help here with Gonzalez. Credit the El Paso defense for surrounding DJ Dean. There's Janu Silva, who was wide open. Ketterer is looking for help from the assistant. And the Roughnecks have just missed a golden opportunity here in the 30th.
Well, we'll see it here. Here's Altamirano's ball, and it's timed to perfection as Janu Silva. Drew Becky says, why on earth wasn't that an offside? But he may have just beaten the offside trap, and you have to take opportunities like that. Janu Silva, by his own standards, will want to have seen that one bulge the net.
So both teams now have had one great opportunity. That will be on DJ Dean. A little hip check there.
Wonderful control, by the way, from DJ
Yes.
Dean inside the box. Maybe on another day, he may have had a shot, curve one towards the keeper's left.
It's great to see DJ back out there. You know, DJ is, I think, as you see there, great view there from the camera crew here. DJ is an example that we've brought up in the past of what makes this league great to me is the opportunity that it creates for local players. More on that in a second. Salgado working with Legrandre, created some space. His cross headed away from Rogers. Contreras. And offsides from the assistant here on the near side. Saw DJ there kind of going back to the screen, but you know, it being that local high school product like DJ was, his story is pretty remarkable. Took every opportunity to make an impression through training. Got signed last year and then was the one holdover from last year's team. Still incredibly young and incredibly raw. But Michael Encian sees a true talent in DJ Dean, and he fits into that local perspective that clubs can really take advantage of. Wrap your arms around those local kids, and there's one in Chapa Herrera for El Paso Locomotive as well, who has a great story. You know, 22 years old and was playing in a tournament there, had played high school, did not have an opportunity to go and play in college, Dave. Someone saw him at a tournament. He was playing with a team that was kind of handpicked and put together and was so impressive that it brought him in for a tryout, and after 2 tryouts made the most of it and signed a professional contract. And quickly here they go to the opposite end. Kiesewetter just to the opposite side of the post, and that shows you as well, not only in the build-up, but they're great on the counter-attack. And you see here on the replay, just missing by a few yards.
And I know he missed the target there, Kiesewetter, but the run he made and almost the telepathic understanding from his midfield and defense with that long ball, they seemed to be able to just pick him out. And he ran almost like Thierry Henry-like, where he pulled away from the middle to the outside, the lone striker there, and was bearing down on goal. But they pushed him wide, and he just shot wide of the target in the end.
Throw in now for the Locomotive. Don't forget, you can tune into ESPN3 on June 18th for a special Tuesday edition of the Wednesday Night Soccer as Phoenix Rising FC meets Reno 1868 in Nevada for a battle between two of the best in the West. It's the week's best match on Wednesday Soccer on a Tuesday, June 18th on ESPN3. Altamirano. Curling ball and then played into the stands, sets up a Red Crown Credit Union corner kick for the Roughnecks.
You know, we talk about possession stats and we praised the visitors here today, El Paso Locomotive, but praise the Roughnecks as well, because that was a good sweeping move from them. As we said, they're trying to play almost on the counter themselves, even though they're the home side, because they're having to give up a possession. It's still 0-0, and they've had one of the best chances of the game, so they're hanging in there pretty well.
Costa. Clearance out to Legrandre. Ball kind of hanging in the air there for a moment. And John Freeman, our official, has pointed in favor of El Paso.
And to be fair to the goalkeeper, he didn't make anything of that. He, you know, it was a challenge from Malin Roberts, a fair one. He had his eyes on the ball. There is John Freeman, one of the better referees that we've seen here, in certainly in my humble opinion, on top of the play.
Well, they'll bring this one back.
I'm not sure why, because for a free kick, the ball doesn't have to go outside of the 18-yard box. But anyway, there must have been another reason the referee saw. So here we go.
I believe he got made aware from the assistant and then brought it back. There's still a bit of confusion there from the El Paso perspective.
And I think I'm right in saying that one of the rule changes for next year in world football is that a goal kick won't have to come outside of the 18-yard box. I think I'm right in saying that. And that, I think, will be a good rule, because some teams, you know, like to just get on with it and play a short ball from the keeper and start building from the back.
Well, I think that fits El Paso to a T. You could see there kind of the hesitation from Ketterer there. I don't think he necessarily wants to play it long.
Following the likes of Manchester City, who just have a goalkeeper that can play from the back. That's a great piece of play.
Oh, Salgado has acres of space now. Makes its way to the 18, cuts towards the byline, is there, ball played in and a goal. El Paso has come in and is able to strike first here in Tulsa this evening, and they lead 1-0 now on the finish. And the goal from number 10, Sebastian Contreras.
Interesting there, suspicion of offside, but we'll see on the replay. What a fantastic piece of play. Left Legrandre for dead here. Here's Salgado there, pulls it across, and it's merely a tap-in. And Kizavada, who was annoyed with his teammate earlier on, pats him on the head and says, my friend, that was a great assist. And El Paso fully deserved that, a great team goal.
We've had a pretty prime view of Salgado in that position. He's had several balls almost exactly like that, but about, I'm going to say 10 yards before you get to the byline, he has now used that same move 3 separate times, where he creates more space for himself and always goes towards the byline instead of trying to cut back inside. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Just outstanding play, and again, a wonderful assist. You know, in the end, it's a tap-in, but it's all made by the guy that makes the assist, the pullback into the perfect position.
Looking to continue on 8-game unbeaten streak for El Paso. Shows you the growth of not only this league, but also of the sport, Dave, that you have teams that are coming in their inaugural seasons, like New Mexico United, like El Paso, and the amount of success that they're having here in the early going.
Yeah, 2 of the teams up there, New Mexico in top, and El Paso, one of 4 teams vying for second place. They're currently 4th. They could go top tonight. So yeah, you're absolutely right. 2 new teams that have come in and hit the ground running.
And by the way, there are many elements to that besides just what we see on the pitch. There's front office, you know, the technical director aspect goes into it. What you are willing to see from, you know, a facility standpoint. There are so many things that go into it, and we have seen a lot of these teams come in and do it the right way in year one.
Absolutely, it's a professional sport, and you've got to be professional now if you're going to make it. And this is a very professional team that we're seeing coming in here, and you're right to pay tribute to all those people that you don't see out on the field who support the players all throughout this fantastic league, which gets stronger every year, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Roughnecks inaugural season in 15, you think back, and it's not that long ago. You think back to it, and even the teams that were good in 15, you know, you start to wonder where would they stack up against some of the competition now, even in a very short time frame. But credit to Mark Lowry for what he's done there in El Paso. Served as a player scout and academy coach for Wolverhampton, and player scout also for Birmingham City FC.
Played some youth soccer as well for Coventry, so that's all in the Midlands of England there that he's predominantly been.
Salgado's first touch is incredible.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Legendre because you're up against a very, very quality player. Good quality player.
Good ball from Hedrick as well. Even better ball from DJ Dean. Quickly they come on the attack. Cuts to the inside now. Has some space in front of him. DJ Dean. Options now. Crowd felt like maybe there was a bit of a shove out of the way on DJ Dean. Referee says play on.
Yeah, Nick Ross with the little shove there, but I don't think it was enough for a free kick. But that was a good counter-attack from the Roughnecks, having to come from behind, of course.
Hedrick with a tough fight there. Ultimately gets the call. That's what you have to do on a big body like that. You have to hug right up next to him. Can't let them dictate anything with the first touch. Well done, Cyprian Hedrick.
Yeah, I think Hedrick and Roberts have done really well at the centre of the defence. As I said, I feel really sorry for Legendre because he's up against a quality act, and he's do you get tight to the lad, or do you give him a Salgado, or do you give him a few yards to run at you? It's a dilemma, isn't it?
This will be a yellow. Into the books will go Mr. Kiffey.
Kiffey will probably argue that was his first foul of the whole night. Referee deemed it to be worthy of a yellow card. It's not been a dirty game at all in terms of fouls.
Over 100 appearances for Kiffey inside USL. Third minute. Also trying to close out the first half in a positive way. Throw in for El Paso fans. The USL unveiled its elite youth platform, USL Academy. This allows clubs at all levels across USL to develop its local youth and compete at the highest level across the United States, including the USL Academy Cup. For more information, visit uslsoccer.com/academy.
It's been difficult for Jeffediah and Manny Gonzalez in the central midfield for the Roughnecks because they're up against a very fluid midfield from El Paso. And Rodrigo de Costa is playing just in front of them in the number 10 role, and he's found it very hard to get on the ball as well. And that's almost a bit of frustration from Jefferdai committing the foul.
Yeah, absolutely. And that has caused issues when the midfield hasn't been able to retain the amount of possession that we're used to seeing them have. And Rodrigo having the, bite of the ball the way that he has, it's created issues with Janu Silva as well and his connectivity to that midfield. Altamirano, the same situation. But when a team controls 70% of the possession rate, and Michael Yancey knew this going in. He knew that this was going to be a bit of a tactical issue.
There's the Andrew Fox header that I was saying about, pulling away, heading it back across goal.
Good challenge there from Legrandre. A die.
But we should say, Pop, it is only 1-0.
Absolutely.
If you're a Roughnecks fan tuning into this broadcast, there is hope because, yes, you're up against a very, very good side, but it is only 1-0. That's Jefferdai. Foul starting to mount up a little bit for Jefferdai.
2 minutes added here at halftime.
And I think the Roughnecks will look forward to getting in the locker room, sitting down with their coach and saying, right, how are we going to cope with this? Because it is, tidal waves coming at them.
Hope you don't mind me taking a breather at halftime, my friend. I've got to go down and teach a TV personality a lesson in PK shooting.
I'm with you. I'm confident. All the best.
Locomotive quickly go on the quick restart and sniffed out there by Sean Lewis. Just to hold things up a bit here. No rush. Herrera. I think John Freeman had a few words for Kiesewetter there. A passing comment. Dive into more of his story during the game, and what a story it has been for Jerome. Going all the way back to that decision that he made between Germany and the United States, back with Klinsmann. Delgado, former #1 overall pick in the MLS Super Draft 2011 for Vancouver. And that will do it for our first half. The visitors on an 8-game unbeaten streak have come into downtown Tulsa at One Oak Field and have scored once. And it was Sebastian Contreras with the assist from Omar Salgado in the 37th minute that has given us our difference as two teams head into the locker room. A couple of your quick thoughts, Dave?
One of the best teams I've seen come to One Oak, El Paso Locomotive. They knocked the ball around. They deserve the lead at halftime. Will the Roughnecks respond? I think they can.
It's 1-0 El Paso in front here at halftime in downtown Tulsa. We'll take a timeout, come back. The halftime show is coming up next.
My name is Abigail Bailey. I was at my yearly checkup when I was 12, and we went and got x-rays, and she diagnosed me with scoliosis and that we needed surgery as soon as possible.
Tulsa Bone and Joint was very compassionate. They took their time with us. They answered questions. He was very encouraging.
Dr. Clark helped me see that there is life after spinal fusion. Just because your spine is fused doesn't mean that you can't do what you love to do.
I'm Chad Smith with Becco Contractors. As an employer, we're always worried about new employees coming to the job and not being aware of their surroundings and just not knowing what they're really doing because it's a new job site. So the partnership with Tulsa Tech has really helped us take that worry out of the equation. We know that they're fully trained and ready to go by the time they show up on the job.
What does it take to be a champion? Skill, strength, vision, an unrelenting desire to prove your worth week in, week out. An army of fans behind you screaming your name. And sometimes just a bit of luck. For 631 games over the course of the next 9 months, 22 players will step on the field to answer the question, why will it be you and not them? And the 36 teams, from the champions of yesterday to the challengers of tomorrow, only one will be right.
Coming to you from USL headquarters, this is Steal Some Time. Here's the USL's Kelsey Steele.
Let's hop into the West. Out of week 14, the West was interesting this week. I want to start over in San Antonio and talk about this academy impact that's going on right now. For Gallegos, if you have not watched that goal, you need to go back into the highlights and watch that, because this is a 17-year-old kid who created that entire play. He made that run. He demanded to get the ball back. Barmy hit him up, and he, made that one touch around the defender, finished it off, and it was gorgeous. A 17-year-old looking like a 25-year-old. And
put the team on his back.
Put the team on his back. How about Phoenix's commitment to Dollar Beer Night?
Undefeated.
If you thought that we were going to go through the show today without mentioning Dollar Beer Night, you are severely mistaken.
Absolutely, and for good reason. I mean, holy cow, not only is Dollar Beer Night absolutely a thing, but the goals on goals, and Adam John, I will stand by this opinion. I will die on this hill. That should have been SportsCenter #1 out of the weekend. 60-yard ball over the top. Not even a touch. He just lofts it over the goalkeeper. I saw that and watched SportsCenter, and I was like, where is it? Okay, it's not number 3, it's not number 2, it's not number 1. I was about to just start tweet storming at SportsCenter on Twitter and just let them know, y'all got that wrong, man.
But elsewhere in USL Championship play, we had a few streaks end this weekend. Talking about over New Mexico and, unfortunately, Tampa Bay Rowdies. Their notable streak comes to an end.
I think if I'm the Rowdies, I have to see this at least as somewhat of a win. So follow me a little bit here.
Okay.
Brown to find Lacroix. Now it's Musa. Oh, what a hit! Ryan Brown. Oh, that is electric from Phoenix on the break.
Hello, my name is Eric Storjahan. I am a large mammal keeper here at the Tulsa Zoo. And today is an exciting day for us and all the animals. We got a shipment of sod from the Roughnecks. So every year, the Roughnecks have been generous enough to give us loads and loads of sod, help us replenish our exhibits with fresh grass. The animals enjoy it too. Right now, we are in front of the Mary Kay Chapman Rhino Preserve. We have our rhino, springbok, nyala, warthogs, and African crown cranes, just enjoying a lush green yard. So you know this grass behind us, after the players get done running on it, the animals actually still get to enjoy it. So we're not wasting that grass, we're getting to reuse it. It's another way we can conserve some things, and it gives the guests a great experience to see these exhibits, so lush and so green, and seeing the animals enjoy it as well.
In about 8th grade, I realized that my knees really were hurting, and I ended up tearing both of my patellar tendons in several places.
Dr. Stanley and Tulsa Bone and Joint, he gave us all of our options, explained them, and we knew walking out that we were in the best place possible for her. From a mom's perspective, without Dr. Stanley, without his staff, we would not have been able to give her her senior year.
How was school today?
Mrs. Smith, what are you doing?
Recycling. You can't put plastic bags in the blue recycling cart, but you can recycle this milk jug. You can recycle stuff from all over the house.
You can recycle this empty box.
What about these hangers?
Just aluminum and steel cans, paper and cardboard, plastic bottles and jugs,
Glass bottles and jars. To learn more, check out TulsaRecycles.com.
Welcome back in here to downtown Tulsa. There it is, the beautiful backdrop here with the halftime score. The Tulsa Roughnecks 0. El Paso Locomotive FC won the goal from Sebastian Contreras on 37 minutes. Welcome to the halftime show. Let's have a look at some of the storylines as we see the backdrop there at halftime with those downtown Tulsa buildings. Here actually is the Eastern standings. Tampa Bay Rowdies there top on 29 points, closely followed by New York Red Bulls 2 on 26. North Carolina down there in 6th place, so pretty tight there in the Eastern standings. Here's the Western standings. See, there's a little breeze tonight. There's New Mexico in first, and then if you look at the fight for second, there you've got tonight's visitors, El Paso Locomotive FC, down there in 4th. They could go top tonight, but 3 teams there on 23 points, and the Tulsa Roughnecks are in 12th, so they're out of our top 10 caption there. And Oklahoma City Energy, the local team, down there in 6th place. Now let's have a look at the storylines. And you can see there the second one there. Sean Lewis returns to action. The goalkeeper for the Tulsa Roughnecks in action tonight. He got injured on March the 23rd, and a long comeback after he tore the hamstring. But he's back in tonight, and he's had a pretty good first half, although he has been beaten by that goal from Contreras on 37 minutes. And also the playoffs, it's very competitive here for the playoffs, and a lot of teams in action throughout the rest of this season will be looking for those top places and to get into the playoffs. Let's move on now to the team of the week, as we see the beautiful backdrop there. There is the team of the week from the East. And we move on to the team of the week for the West. Again, beautiful shots of downtown Tulsa. There's the player of the week, Thiago Souza. Many players getting into these polls And it was Tiago that got the Player of the Week for Week 11. Orlando City player. We're half-time here with the Roughnecks trailing by a 0-0 to El Paso Locomotive.
See there the team of the week from week 14, Dave. Mr. Kiffey, we've seen him tonight.
Lots of familiar names there. Cameron Iwasa, Delgado as well in there.
Look at Kosuke. Kosuke Kamura from Nashville SC, former Tulsa Roughneck. Still fighting his way through USL Championship. Kosuke might be older than I am.
I think he's but a very,
and by the way, in far better shape.
A very, very conditioned guy, wasn't he?
Because I'm a bit winded from even walking upstairs from my victory in PKs against local TV personality. See a great look of downtown Tulsa there, here from One Oak Field. Player of the week, Dre Fortune from North Carolina FC. It's great to see them, by the way, have the success that they're having. They have a big announcement, I believe, coming up citywide, I think at the beginning of next week. And if it already happened, I apologize. My defense is I have a 2-year-old. But I believe they have a big announcement coming up for a potential stadium there in downtown.
Well, we looked at the standings, and they were in 6th place. And I have been to their stadium, and it is a fantastic setup. They're a fantastic club in North Carolina, and Steve Miller, we know, who used to play for the Roughnecks, part of that setup, and well done to Dre Fortune as well. Here's the goal, the save from Sean Lewis, and that was a pretty decent save as well. He got a little bit injured there. You see the Kizaveda here is just such a great striker, and good defense from the Roughnecks.
Center of the park ball played through. Good weight on that pass as well. Just enough for Jerome to get there to it. Credit Sean Lewis for being decisive coming out on that. Here's Janu Silva and the missed opportunity. They were looking for the offsides there, but a great ball in from Altamirano as well. And you saw Janu just kind of slip off of the defender there, off of Becky, who was not happy with that call one bit.
It would have been a VAR review, wouldn't it? But I think it was a great piece of timing from Janu Silva, but the finish wasn't there, and by his own standards, he, I guess, thought he might have been offside as well, so maybe took his eye off the ball. Here's another opportunity.
That move right there, that cut back to the byline is what gives him just that split-second more. We'll see it right here. Boom, step, and a brilliant ball played in. And at that point, you know, Matt Rogers is kind of hung out to dry because he's got to watch the trailer that's hanging out there right at the penalty spot. And unless someone's communicating with you and yelling at you, slip right in the back door in the far post. Credit Salgado with the perfect played ball in, and what should have been and was an easy goal for El Paso, as you see a good shot of the moon here in the 918 on this evening, and we are set and ready to go.
Big second half for the Roughnecks.
See if they can get things going here early. DJ Dean, unlucky for DJ.
I think the Roughnecks have made a substitution at half-time, and it's unsurprising to me that McKinley's come on at left back, and Legendre has gone off, and McKinley has got his hands full, as we know, with Mr. Salgado.
If there is a young man, though, that is up to the challenge, it is Moses McKinley. Pretty remarkable story. Got to learn more about his story through podcast, Matt Sheldon's podcast, as a matter of fact. You know, the story that is not told enough from the American perspective in terms of soccer, Dave, and maybe American perspective is the wrong way, but soccer players in general the story to the American public is not told enough. We hear a lot in the States of road trips from minor league baseball is the prime example of this, correct? Where, you know, on a bus, incredibly odd hours, you know, what you do as far as food and things of the like, and kind of the stick-to-itiveness that those players have to try to make it to professional baseball at the major league level. But stories of soccer, and Moses McKinday is one of those. Just the multiple cities that and countries that he had to visit to just make it here to Tulsa. And something that doesn't typically happen in baseball is going on trial like they do in soccer and not making any money for months at a time. And McKinday has done that. It was a really fascinating listen. Stanu Silva kind of stuck in between 4 El Paso players, nowhere to go with it. Almost was still able to fight his way through, and you like kind of the fight that the Roughnecks have here in the first few moments of this second half. DJ Dean knocked. And then a foul.
Yeah, that was great defending, wasn't it? I mean, Janu Silva literally had nowhere to go. It was like one of those 4v1 practices, wasn't it? Keep ball away. And he did hold on to the ball for a little while, but they are so good defensively when they have not got the ball, El Paso. They want that ball back desperately. And Janu Silva was surrounded by 4. Throwing on the far side. A big second half for both teams here. El Paso will want a second one, of course. Roughnecks want to get back on level terms.
The blast at the near post. Quick hands there from Sean Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis has to be at his best, and we'll see here. Andrew Fox it is, the number 19 here, sharp. And I think that may have come off keeper and post. That's a great turn away by Rodrigo da Costa.
Tough foul,
yeah,
as well from behind.
Now that's what he needs to do more of.
Absolutely.
For Mike Ensign's men.
I'm sure that was one of the messages from Mike too at halftime. Attacking wise, Roughnecks have looked better here in the opening moments. Curling ball, Cyprian was there, sent skyward. Janu Silva still not cleared away, finally knocked outside of the box. Rebellon. More of a harassing Roughneck style of defense as well. Oh, great tackle from Rodrigo. Able to shut down that far touch line. Michael Ensign, once more that passion we saw in the first 8-9 games from the Roughnecks. Tough foul there.
We don't see players hurt there, and I think McKinday did catch Salgado, but something has to slow him down a little bit, and I think McKinday will need to stick tight to that young man. And he certainly was there, but too tight, says the referee.
driven ball there. Settled at the corner. Kiffey now trying to fight with Rogers. Cross found its way there from Andrew Fox. Maybe a poor first touch there from Rodrigo. I think a bit indecisive there. Exactly what he wanted to do with that first touch. Results in Locomotive FC more possession. That's a bad ball there. DJ Dean, can he get there in time? And now a foul. Brings up Michael Insian off the bench. There's Michael Insian. Saw Donovan Ricketts there sitting on the bench as well, giving instructions of his own. Should be a handball on DJ Dean. You can get updates and alerts all year long by following your club on ESPN.com. You can search for the Roughnecks and then click the follow button to keep up with the latest news and scores. Plus, get reminders on the Roughnecks' next match. Go to ESPN.com now and click follow for your club. Nice play there. Sean Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis has had a pretty good game so far. Made that one-handed save against Keita Feder in the first half when he was one-on-one. Couldn't have done anything about the goal, but everything else, handling's been good.
Looking rather spry on coming back from that hamstring. Altamirano. Good turn from Gonzalez to find Dean.
That's a good battle between Rebellon and Dean, isn't it, out there?
Tough matchup for the youngster.
Yeah. It's a fast learning curve, isn't it? Pop, I want to say well done to Fortuna Tulsa, the women's team here in Tulsa. This is the second Oklahoma versus Texas Derby matchup today, but Fortuna won 4-0 against South Star, and you know, they go 5. So well done to them, Yolanda Thomas and all the girls. Fantastic performance from them on this very field here this morning.
Day-night doubleheader here in Tulsa. Well, how do you feel about Matt Rogers so far tonight in the Luca Lobo spot?
Yeah, Matt Rogers playing in right back there. He is right on cue. He's done pretty well. He's got a yellow card for his trouble, but he's settled in pretty well.
This is maybe the best build-up of the entire game so far for Tulsa. There's DJ Dean, maybe one too many touches from him.
Yeah, he created the space for the first touch and then just tried something that maybe he didn't need to do that. And I think his manager's making that point to him, but he's a young man learning the game. But again, he was surrounded by white shirts. They get back so quickly defensively, El Paso, make it very, very difficult for anybody, let alone a youngster like DJ Dean, to get an effort on frame. And that's why we said in the first half they've only conceded 12 goals this season. You can see why. They work together as a unit.
Salgado, where he's been dangerous, too much on that one, tracking it down to the far side. Keeps it in play. And then almost directly back at Kiffey from Hedrick. Long throw in that Fox will Toku. Becky. Lackadaisical ball from Becky. Trying to fit that one into Silva. The attempt from Gonzalez tried to make a plea with the official that it came off of one of the members of the Locomotive, and you could see John Freeman from even our positions shake his head, say, no, sir.
And I think the referee made the correct decision. But Manny Gonzalez, second shot of the game, couple of shots over, but not afraid to have a go. Much better possession from the Roughnecks.
I was just getting ready to say this right now from what we're seeing, and even the last two possessions into the offensive third have looked a little bit more like the Roughnecks that we have seen so far this season, rather than sitting back on their heels and letting El Paso dictate everything. Well done there from Roberts. This young man right here needs to fuel the start for the Roughnecks here this evening. Altamirano, so much positive happens when the ball is on his boot. Unfortunate there as Fox misplayed that on the giveaway now for the throw-in for Tulsa. Costa with Rogers. Kiffey has options. The die tracks him down. Challenge there from Altamirano, Rodrigo da Costa.
And that was good stifling possession there from the Roughnecks there.
Good long ball, DJ Dean. Once again on Rebillon. The Colombian defender.
Just 5 minutes maybe on the clock, 65, and you look at the likes of AJ Ajayqua maybe to come on down one of the wings just to freshen things up a little bit.
By the way, I was incorrect earlier. And Rebillon actually played with Swope Park for a period of time, not Oklahoma City. My apologies for that. Does have some experience though, and that's one of the things that Mark Lowry wanted, was guys that kind of fit his style and fit his system, and Rebillon is one of those guys. Played for him in Jacksonville with the Armada. And Mark got his head coaching start there after Tony Miola was relieved of his duties. And then the NASL folded and went down to 4th Division to Jacksonville, and now the opportunity here in El Paso. The header, and Sean Lewis with the amazing save, point-blank range, that keeps El Paso off the board, and more importantly, keeps Kiesewetter off the board.
Fantastic save there, because that really should have been 2-0. And it ends up with another corner. But a great save. Sean Lewis at his best there, gets a handshake from his skipper. And sometimes it's little moments in games like that that can change things.
Referee having a conversation here. No shoving. It's the first time. Sean Lewis up to 10 saves so far tonight for him. Big night so far. Hand up from Kiffey. Ball played in. Off of the deflection, back out. Kiffey one more time. has enough time to pick his space. Ketterer. We'll have a look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up here in just a few moments. A busy night of action across USL Championship. And a foul close to midfield. Here's a look at some of the out-of-town scores. Tacoma, the 1-0 lead over Austin. Rio Grande Valley, 1-0 over Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC. Scoreless between the Energy and San Antonio FC. And later tonight, Las Vegas and New Mexico, big one there. Phoenix and Orange County. And then Reno 1868 and Los Dos. That's a 9:30 Central Time start. Good challenge. Alan Roberts.
Yeah, some big games tonight that will affect both ends of the table. Of course, New Mexico will want to stay up there on top. And of course, tonight's El Paso will be looking at those scores later on tonight. If they were to go away with 3 points tonight, they could end up top of the league tonight. Very tight for that second spot, as we were looking at half-time.
Yeah, the next stretch of games for El Paso, San Antonio, or excuse me, Las Vegas, then San Antonio, and then Fresno. For the Roughnecks side, El Paso tonight, Sacramento on June 22nd. Come back here for the Real Monarchs to close out the month of June before they go on the road for 2 at Portland and at Colorado Springs.
Doesn't get any easier, my friend.
Does not.
For anybody. It's we were saying in the first half, this league goes from strength to strength. There are no easy games whatsoever.
Nice turn from Christian Altamirano. Cuts back to the inside with a nice back heel. Just tried the little flick there for Janu Silva. Couldn't link up with each other.
But a good run from Altamirano, and that's what his coach will want more of. That's where he's at his most dangerous, when he picks up speed, goes past players.
And there hasn't been enough of that to Michael Incian's liking tonight, where Altamirano's had a chance to actually run at the defender. Salgado. Kiffey runs onto it. One-touch ball and then played out by Cyprian Hedrick, the captain.
And the captain had to be at his best there. He read that extremely well, because Kizaveta was saying, I'm going to get in front of you and tap that one home. But Hedrick, who's experienced, as we know, in the central defensive position, got there and concedes another Red Crown Credit Union corner.
You know, we've seen a handful of guys roll through One Oak Field, Dave, whether it be for the Roughnecks like Juan Pablo Caffa in his days. But so far from what I've seen from Salgado, not only is he great with the ball on his feet, but he has such awareness as well. Have you seen him play, maybe other than one bad ball where his teammate was a little bit upset he didn't pull it back across the face of the goal? Outside of that, great vision and always plays the correct ball.
They are collector's items when he gives the ball away. Let's put it that way. You're absolutely right, my friend. And he's just a top quality player. Watch out for him for the rest of the season. Here he is again on the ball.
Fox. Kiffey has been operating in loads of space. Pulls back.
The other thing about Salgado is his height. I mean, you said 6'4". You know, he's very, very tricky player. He's quick, but he can also spring up in the middle of the box there, and you know, get on the end of a cross. So good all-round player.
We'll have a sub here for the Roughnecks.
like for like, isn't it? Matt Rogers will come off, and Luca Lobo will go back to where he's most familiar, which is at right back.
So the leading goal scorer now for the Roughnecks will make his appearance here in the 67th.
Yeah, we say not many teams can boast their right back as their top goal scorer, but he really got those goals early on in the season.
On 7 goals is Luca Lobo. Coming into tonight, it's the first time that he did not start this season. Had 13 consecutive starts, did Luca. Played 1,156 minutes.
Possession stats a little bit closer now as the Roughnecks have enjoyed a little bit more possession, 59-41 in favor of El Paso. I don't think many teams will beat El Paso in the possession stats.
To come down from 70 where it was at 20 minutes in tells you how this game has kind of shifted to this point here in the 68th. Long way to go.
You know, apart from the goal, the Roughnecks have defended pretty well, and they've had their goalkeeper to thank, I know, on a couple of occasions. But to say again, Roberts and Hedrick have done very well against Kiesewetter and the like.
DJ and the Roughnecks will play on. McKinday came off the back of the defender, and keeper had to go up and punch that one away. That had quite the elevation on it. Good looking cross there. Settles back to Manny Gonzalez. Oh, the shot blocked away by Chapa.
Manny Gonzalez getting closer and closer, and that one was blocked. And there's an injured player who's gone down, I think, holding his back after a challenge with McKinday. We'll just see here, ball coming in, out comes the keeper, good punch, goes to Luca Lobo here. And then after that, there was a shot from Manny Gonzalez. It's a good game, it's still relatively evenly poised. I mean, if you're an El Paso fan, you certainly want, here's the Gonzalez shot, which I think you'll see is blocked there as you're right. Pop, but you know, if you're a Roughnecks fan tuning in, you can see your side getting on level terms. If you're an El Paso fan, you want that second goal to really try and, you know, take the life out of this game with 21 minutes to go. So still a long way to go. Important for different reasons for both teams. The Roughnecks desperate to get at least a point, having lost their last 2 games.
Well, this is an opportunity here for both sides to reset here. Looks like Rebillon is okay, and that's the most important thing coming out of this. Took a little shot there. Those hurt right there on the side. He's up and okay. He's a tough guy.
Yeah, it's never nice when you go up for an aerial challenge and come down on your back, is it? And that's what happened to him. I don't think there was a foul in that challenge. And he's okay. And he's definitely okay because he's gone straight to take the throw in here.
Seems as if a little bit more of I don't want to call it a full pressing style from Tulsa, but just putting a little bit more pressure on them has helped kind of break up some of that connectivity from El Paso. And Roughnecks right now, at a pivotal part of this game, are starting to show signs of life here in the second half.
Yeah, they're trying to play.
Out to Morano with a brilliant ball towards the back post, just out of the reach.
I'm telling you, that is an outstanding piece of defending from Rebillon. He's just been injured. He comes back and he's just dived at the ball there and headed it behind for another Red Crown Credit Union corner. We'll see it here. Watch this piece of defending. Ball comes in there. Look at that under pressure as well. Could have been called a foul on another day. Corner.
Somehow that was able to sneak all the way through. Altamirano just couldn't get enough of a touch on it for the stop. And they'll have to reset. And maybe a bit, no, they'll keep it in play. So a few shaky moments here from the El Paso defense, and not very often you see that. Now Salgado on a dead run. McKinday trying to catch up. Good ball played there. It's free for a moment, and Lewis hops on top of it for the save.
Well done to McKinday, first of all, for sticking to the run by our friend Mr. Salgado, because that was an outstanding turn of pace. Lewis as well, congratulations to him, and I think Hedrick was in there. Look at the speed from Salgado here. Pulls it across. It's a perfect ball in. Kiesewetter not there because Hedrick was there and Lewis was there. Good defending from the Roughnecks. Great attacking play from El Paso.
Let me tell you, Cyprian Hedrick might have just saved the game for the Roughnecks with having to hustle all the way back to get that touch on the ball on another good ball played from Salgado, because if Hedrick's not there, that is a goal.
But what a turn of speed from Salgado. We were talking
He's
about
deceptive.
We were talking about the man earlier on. Yeah, he is deceptive, tall man, but he's certainly very, very quick. Another unsung hero in the El Paso midfield is Nick Ross. Just goes about his business, the number 8. Breaks up the play. He's had experience in Scotland for Inverness. Scotland promotion a few years ago. There he is again, just laying the ball off. Another unsung hero.
Lobo. Back for a die, and Lewis. El Paso here maybe a bit content to try to get back to what they do best. Just keep knocking it around, looking for those angles. And there's a penalty.
Well, it was a great run from the goal scorer, wasn't it? Carreras. Brilliant run into the box. Not too many defenders questioning. Cyprian Hedrick's having a word with the referee. We'll get a replay. Certainly it was one of those tricky runs into the box. We'll see it here. Just does Da Costa holds his hands up. He says he didn't touch him. Referee was right there, to be fair.
Well, whether it ended up, well, it is officially one, but whether it is one or not, that's an incredible work rate there from Sebastian Contreras there. To be in that tight quarter, in that space, to cut through. We'll have a look at it again here in a moment after the attempt.
And it's our man, Mr. Kiesewetter, looking for his 10th of the season.
Kiesewetter approaches, and Sean Lewis goes the opposite direction. How many keepers are going to get that one anyway? Well struck PK. And that sends the visitors to a 2-0 lead here in the 76th.
Yeah, the Roughnecks will feel a bit sorry for themselves there because they had probably their best spell of the game trying to get back on level terms. Now there is daylight between the two teams. And you were making a comment in the commentary just a few moments ago that El Paso got back to what they do best. Here's the penalty again, and as you said, my friend, you won't stop this. Kiesewetter with that experience there, top corner, no keeper's going to stop that.
Maybe we can have another look at the foul at the next opportunity as well. Just have one more look at it. Tulsa's not out of the light yet. Still time. Out to Morano. Nice footwork from Christian. Easy ball there, looking for Silva. Becky sends it over the byline for a Red Crown Credit Union corner. DaCosta. Roughnecks could use a little bit of his brilliance here over this stretch. Curling ball, Janu Silva, the header. Oh, great save from Ketterer. And now another corner. Now actually they'll point towards the goal kick.
And that was another outstanding save.
Oh, we've had 2 point-blank saves. We'll get a look at it here on this replay. Right down the line.
That's a great reaction save, isn't it? Roughnecks wanted a corner.
Silva got everything that he could on it to deflect it towards that far side of the net. And Ketterer was up to the challenge. One more look at it here from the reverse angle. Ball comes in hot. Right there.
Well, that's why, one of the reasons why El Paso have only conceded 12 goals this season. They've got an outstanding goalkeeper and a great defense. And this man on the ball here is one of the reasons as well. Chiro and Coco.
A die tripped up. Ketterer was a 4th round pick, by the way, from the Columbus Crew. Traded Bradley. Now we've got both athletic trainers making their way out. This moment of trying to make sure everyone is nice and stretched here to work out what looks like a cramp from the Roughnecks perspective. Saw the thumbs up sign there. Gives me a chance to remind you about the game of the week. You can tune in June 18th on ESPN3 for a special Tuesday edition of Wednesday Night Soccer. Phoenix Rising FC, who beat Tulsa 5-0 on Friday, meets Reno 1868 in Nevada for a battle between 2 of the best out west. It's the week's best matchup on Wednesday Night Soccer on a Tuesday this week, June 18th on ESPN3.
That will be well worth the watch. Those 2 teams, great teams, and as you say, Phoenix gave the Roughnecks a 5-0 drubbing in that game. Very exciting to watch.
Looks like a die is okay. Trying to shake out that cramp. Injury update brought to you by Tulsa Bone and Joint. Tulsa Bone and Joint, moving life forward.
Well, 10 minutes to go. Roughnecks desperate for a goal to really make a great finish to this game, but El Paso would love another goal just to kill it right off now. They still have the 2-goal cushion, but they'd love a third.
Good ball from Janu Silva.
That's Mon Premier, isn't it? He's come on as a sub.
Trying to provide a little bit of electricity to the Roughnecks. Energetic young man. Settled there. Altamirano was trying on the volley. Good defense there from Ross.
Again, surrounded by white shirts.
No
it's been
space.
a feature of the game.
No space whatsoever.
And that just shows how well they communicate as a unit.
on Premier. And Toko knocks it out. Costa, just a little bit of room to turn, but not much. Goal kick now for the visitors.
Yes, McKinday was withdrawn. He came on as a second half sub. He's been withdrawn. Luca Lobo has gone to left back, and Montprenier has really come on as a right wing back. It's almost 3 at the back for the Roughnecks now. Desperate to push a few more men forward.
There was a great write-up, Dave, in The Athletic by Jeff Reuter on Mr. Kiesewetter and kind of his story and how he made his way to El Paso. And you know, it's a pretty interesting story. Had found himself in a position where the team that he was on promoted there to Bundesliga, and they did not want to sign him to another contract, and felt that it was maybe time to get out of Germany and try something new, and has found himself quite the home now with 10 goals so far in 10 appearances here in USL after converting the penalty kick tonight. But it goes to show you, sometimes the journey of these guys to get where they're at this time, and all the hype surrounding him and the decision between Germany and the United States at the time, and playing for the under-23s and what happened there in Rio at the Olympics. That one as well. Wide a frame from Montpremier.
Yeah, Germany's loss is El Paso's gain, isn't it? I mean, he's a very fine player, and anybody that's played anywhere in and around the Bundesliga knows how strong that league is. Experience with Dusseldorf and VfB Stuttgart. So he's a quality act, and I'm sure El Paso fans would want him to stay and not be drawn to other MLS clubs or the like.
Well, and Mark Lowry's quote was, when we were looking for someone to fill that 9 spot, we didn't just want any other guy. We were looking for someone dynamic, and they found one.
They certainly have found one. I think dynamic is the right word. He's bundles of energy, very, very quick, eye for goal, and wants to take the penalties, and that's always the good sign of a scorer that wants to just keep putting the ball in the back of the net. Here he is again, making a nuisance of himself, winning a Red Crown Credit Union corner for his side late on.
And I forgot, after he left Dusseldorf there, that's when he went down to 4th division and turned 26 in February, and has now found himself a home.
And at 26, he'll be in his prime, won't he? So he's going to be scoring goals. Watch out for him at the top of the list for the USL Championship this season.
Roughnecks just trying to pull back one at this point, and then maybe a mad dash here at the end. Still looking for that elusive first. Simple touch from Janu. And DJ has had his hands full the entire night with Rebillon.
Yeah, it's been, as we said, a learning curve. He's up against a very good right back, up against a very good defence and goalkeeper. So it's hard to break them down, but he's kept going well tonight, DJ Dean. I think that might be yellow card for
Montpremier. Might be one from Montpremier, and you are correct.
Frustration from Montpremier there.
Derek Gebhardt has come in and has been quite pacey so far with the ball.
Yeah, he's not what you want to see, is he? Fresh legs coming on if you're a Roughnecks defender and you've been under the attacks all night. So free kick late on here. I'm not sure what the discussion is.
Gebhard, by the way, is another one of those Jacksonville Armada guys that comes over to play in this system with Mark Lowry. Played his college ball at Florida Gulf Coast. The look of it there. Two goals on the season for him so far. One assist in what is now his 11th appearance. Interesting there between Ross and Salgado. And now referee has to step in between quickly. Yellow card here has been issued to Salgado.
Yeah, just lost control of the ball, just dove in a little bit. There's going to be a late substitution from El Paso, and we'll just see it here. It just jumps in a little bit. I've seen worse than that on a soccer field, but I think probably just about the right decision by this top quality referee who's controlled the game very well.
By the way, I don't think that was anything malicious from Manny Gonzalez there at the end either, but John Freeman was just in place, in position if necessary, if something was there. But I think that was just Manny kind of running around the backside of that, because you're right, we've seen worse in instances, but Salgado goes into the books
and gets substituted for his
yes,
not because of that. He's had a great game. Take a bow, that young man. That's a great, outstanding performance. Probably my man of the match, actually, I would say.
I would agree.
Although there's been many players you could pick from.
So the Roughnecks on the verge of dropping 3 straight.
Again, Altamirano there, great run, but surrounded by 3.
3 defenders trying to find Silva, who is encapsulated by 3 defenders on his own right. There's no way through in that style.
And that's what makes them a great team. And that's not something that happens by luck, Pop. That's something they would practice, and they're well coached, as we know, by Lowry. It just suffocates the opposition with their possession and space and time.
So if you're Michael Encian, if this result holds up, you've now dropped 3 in a row after what I felt like was, even in that 4-game road stretch where you came away with a point in every one of those games. All that now, you look back on it and you say, that was all for naught. So we've dropped 3 straight, and then things don't get any easier. You go on the road to Sacramento next week before you come back home and play Real Monarchs. So are you still in the mode of trying to mix things up if you're Michael Encian? Or are you still trying to find that right combination?
Well, I think he will take some pluses from this. Don't get me wrong. No coach likes to lose games of football, and to lose 3 on the bounce is, nobody wants to see that or, coach that. But he will take some pluses out of this. I think the Roughnecks have been harder to break down, which we maybe haven't seen from them in last few games. Here's a run through.
And can he get there in time? He cannot. Sean Lewis came way off of his line and out of the box for that challenge there on Kiesewetter. And now we're going to have another sub coming up here for El Paso. You can see here on the ball play through. Lovely weighted ball, but Kiesewetter got to it just that first touch a little bit heavy there as we wrap this up. And now we'll see the sub come in. And this is, I believe, Mr. Ryan Ritchie.
Yeah, man from England who's played in a Tyne and Wear derby, which is the Newcastle-Sunderland derby in 2003. Experienced again just to come on at the end and see things out.
Fans, don't forget you can follow the Roughnecks and the rest of the USL Championship all season long on ESPN Plus, home to the USL, MLS, UFC, and more. Join the over 2 million sports fans who have already discovered ESPN Plus and watch the championship live every week. Sign up today at espnplus.com.
Apologies, of course. Richie Ryan's from Ireland, not England.
Right idea from Sip. Just couldn't get it executed. John Freeman gave one look at the watch there.
Just going back to Mike Ensign, I think he will take some pluses from this game. As I hasten to add again, nobody likes to lose, and it's a defeat where you don't get anything from it. But they're up against a very, very good side tonight. Probably, I would go as far to say, the best side that I have seen here at One Oak this season, as the ball goes through again. And they've been hard to score on. We've seen a penalty, and the first goal was a good team goal. So there are some pluses. To answer your question, I think he will stick with the back four. I think maybe McKinday will play the next game at left back. And then, maybe a few players have got to play their way back in. So it'll be a testing time for the Roughnecks, but I think there'll be hope for them as they go into the next phase of games, which we've said is not going to get any easier. No game is easy in this league.
Red Crown Credit Union corner kick coming up. Should be around that 60-second mark now for stoppage time. And El Paso will keep this short. Maybe just try to keep as much possession as they can here. Run out time here in the corner.
But I think on tonight's performance, you'd say that El Paso are going to be up there in the top three at come the end of the season. If they continue like this, they could well go on and win the league. So we'll see. Lots of football to be played, but very impressed with them. Just not the necessarily just the attacking, which has been tremendous, but they're defending, and as we say, a feature of the game, surrounding the player of the opposition with the ball, not letting them have any time and space to play.
And that will do it. El Paso Locomotive FC, 9-game unbeaten streak, still intact as they come into One Oak Field and come away with 3 points here this evening on June 15th. And what was pretty solid performance across the board for the visiting side. And now find themselves in a position, depending upon the other results tonight in other matches, could find themselves at the top of the table out west for the expansion side. Meanwhile, the Roughnecks dropped their 3rd straight. Austin Bold, Phoenix Rising, and now El Paso Locomotive FC before they get set for a road trip to Northern California, to Papa Murphy and Sacramento Republic. And over this 3-game stretch now, the Roughnecks outscored 10-2. So they need to find the offense once again. And maybe going out on the road and having some success early will propel them on. But as you see the celebration here tonight at One Oak from El Paso, and they should be feeling that way that they are right now.
Yeah, very impressed with them. Professionally done from them. The right team won on the night. The Roughnecks will need to pick themselves up quickly, but a good coach will do that. Mike Ensign knows what he's doing, and he will look at film of tonight, bearing in mind the strength of the opposition, and he will, to answer your question that you put to me earlier, he'll look at every position on the team, and he's not afraid to make some changes. if he needs to make changes, he will make them. And so they will go to Sacramento and try and get something from that game on to the next.
All right, that'll do it from us. I hope everyone had a wonderful time tuning in tonight on ESPN+. We want to thank all the crew here at One Oak Field. Amazing camera angles tonight, gentlemen. Thank everyone as well in the production booth for making this thing happen. And thank those of you that were tuning in this evening. Good job, Dave. We'll see you back here coming up in just a few weeks, right back here at this very spot at One Oak, as we'll be back on the 29th of June with the Real Monarchs SLC making their way into the 918. Happy Father's Day, my friend.
And to you, my friend, and to all those dads out there, enjoy tomorrow.
Absolutely. Take time and enjoy the moment. Final score for the final time. El Paso Locomotive FC 2, the Roughnecks 0. We'll see you back here at One Oak Field on the 29th of June.
How was school today?
Mrs. Smith, what are you doing?
Recycling. You can't put plastic bags in the blue recycling cart, but you can recycle this milk jug. You can recycle stuff from all over the house.
You can recycle this empty box.
What about these hangers?
Just aluminum and steel cans, paper and cardboard, plastic bottles and jugs,
glass bottles and jars. To learn more, check out TulsaRecycles.com.
In about 8th grade, I realized that my knees really were hurting, and I ended up tearing both of my patellar tendons in several places.
Dr. Stanley and Tulsa Bone and Joint, he gave us all of our options, explained them, and we knew walking out that we were in the best place possible for her. From a mom's perspective, without Dr. Stanley, without his staff, we would not have been able to give her her senior year.
I'm Chad Smith with Becco Contractors. As an employer, we're always worried about new employees coming to the job and not being aware of their surroundings and just not knowing what they're really doing because it's a new job site. So the partnership with Tulsa Tech has really helped us take that worry out of the equation. We know that they're fully trained and ready to go by the time they show up on the job.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.